We are on the Festival Daily Buzz, broadcasting, recording, and doing all that stuff from the Treasure Mountain Inn at Slamdance. With me is Angela Tabora and Erin Lim from Bitch Talk. My name is John Wildman. I'm the editor-in-chief of FilmsGoneWild.com. And on this segment, we're going to talk about the Slamdance film starring Jerry as himself. We've got with us Jerry, who's in the film, all about the film. The film is all about him. We have his son Jonathan, who's also in the film, one of the producers of it. And Lawrence Chen, who's director, co-screenwriter, editor, producer, DP. I think he did craft services too. He did it all. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I did a little bit of coffee getting for various people during the production, so
all right.
but I'm so happy that we're here.
Well, let's start off by having you, I'll have you introduce our audience to the film. They haven't seen it as yet, so tell us about the film.
Yeah, absolutely. So starring Jerry as himself is a docu-fiction feature about a man named Jerry, who is an ordinary immigrant dad, retired in Florida, who gets a call from the Chinese police and recruits him to be an undercover secret agent. Isn't that right, Jerry?
Yes.
And scene. Well, I'd say I come from a tight-knit, close family, and I was just fully invested in this film from start to finish. I was invested in the story, and I was left with all the emotions at the end. So first of all, thank you for sharing the story. But I wanted to know, as a family, was there ever a point when you were like, oh, I'm nervous sharing us as a family with the public and how they're going to perceive us? Was there ever a point when you told Law, like, oh, you know, maybe let's cut back on something, or were you just fully trusting in the process?
Yeah, it was a huge development process where we obviously, as a documentary, you want to be very sensitive to the subject, and then this being probably the most personal film I'll ever make in my life. It was just checking in with Jerry, checking in with the family, making sure that they are understanding how we're telling the story and why we're telling the story. I think the why is the most important. No spoilers, but you know, there's a very big reason of why we wanted to make this film, and there was a time-sensitive crunch too, as far as like how quickly we had to make this, because there was a possibility of extradition for Jerry to go. To be taken out of the States. And so, yeah, I think we all just banded together and supported each other in making this film.
Yeah. I wanted to start with Jerry.
Yeah.
During this process, and I feel we can go maybe around the room and make it somewhat short. But what did you learn about your family through this filming process that you didn't know before?
I know my family pretty well, actually. We do the film together, and just like we do John's high school project. And he shoot a lot of film before. We always help. And now I learn my family, they are more artistic. You know, they all can play. And naturally, so I feel happy with this family, and all my kids grow up with me, and all my teachings they learned, and I feel happy with my family. Yes.
Law, I wanted to ask you. You know, this film, it's a hybrid. There's documentary elements to it. There's narrative elements to it. You're using pretty much all the things in the toolbox in a storytelling manner. But as and we went through that list of all the roles you were playing to do this. Talk about just building the architecture of the film and that challenge and how you took that on.
There's a whole story behind why we chose to do what we did, and it is a docu-fiction feature because of Jerry. And you know, when we first got this phone call, I first got this phone call from Jonathan. He was like, something terrible has happened. My dad is a undercover agent for the Chinese police, and he was like, can you help me find out exactly what happened? Like, what happened? So we go down to Florida, and we're interviewing Jerry to be like, Jerry, what happened? And he's telling us about, like, you know, an international money laundering investigation and like doing secret surveillance at a local bank and like wearing a wiretap for bank tellers, and the story just got more and more fantastical. And I realized that if you were going to make this doc, everything has already happened. How do you go and tell this story? And the only way we would do that is like a recreation or some sort of like scripted narrative version. And then if we do that, who can play Jerry? There's maybe like 2 guys in Hollywood that are like 70-year-old Asian guys that can play an Asian dad, and they're going to pick up my phone call tomorrow. I'm not sure. And Jerry is getting more and more interested in our process. And he's like, what's going on? What are you guys doing? What are you making? So we've always wanted to make interesting filmmaking decisions. So we were like, Jerry, would you like to play yourself? And Jerry said, yes, only if it's a spy film. Because I felt like Jason Bourne, I felt like James Bond, and I want the audience to feel the same way. So we just decided, yeah, let's go make a doc that kind of feels like a spy film, but ultimately is about an immigrant searching for the American dream.
I love that, especially because, like I said before, I was left feeling all the feelings, and that's why, because for all these reasons, it's a really complicated story, but essentially it isn't, you know, and I think that goes back to you, Jerry. I think you are the king of perspective. I love your outlook on life, the way you see things. I would love to hear why you think you can look at life with such a beautiful lens. Does it have to do with your immigration story? Can you speak to that?
Because I do the film with my family. That's why I feel comfortable, and life's beautiful. Family work together, and people, kids growing up, so they left me, and now they will come back together. We kind of reunion again. So that's why I feel happy, and I enjoy to do the work together. So, and Lawrence is a good friend or family, so we work together just like a real family. And he shot me too once a while. I said, okay, so he's a director. Yes, sir. But in all general, happy. It's a happy process. So,
I feel like Jerry had a lot of fun doing this whole thing.
fun, yes.
For me, like, and obviously it's about somebody else's family, right? I'm here as an outsider, a friend, but an outsider, like looking into this family and looking into what is a very personal thing for an Asian American family to reveal about themselves. You know, having their dad be part of a, you know, international money laundering investigation. So the reason I did it was because Jerry reminded me of my dad and reminded me of my parents. And I remember on set once, I was like frustrated, and I was just like, we need to move to the next shot. And I was like, Dad, get over here. We need to, and I was like, oh my God, I just called him Dad. John and his brothers were like,
wait, that's my dad.
I was like, right. That's right. So it felt like I was part of this family as we were doing this. And I learned about that family, a lot about that family too. So
Well, let's talk about the family, because I mean, Jonathan, you're a producer on it. Jerry, you're actually you know, got a co-script writing credit on this. The whole family's involved, but did everybody honestly embrace being part of this project? Because in the film, the dynamic, you all have such distinctive different personalities and outlooks. So Jonathan, can you talk about that?
you're talking about caviar.
I love
I think I know where you're heading with this, John. And the answer is no, not everyone was on board in the beginning. It took a bit of massaging. It took a bit of convincing. I mean, but in the end, it was, like Jerry said, it was about a family story. So, and also, they are very familiar, my whole family, with me pointing a camera at them. But now it's just Law pointing a camera at them, and I'm there too, just right next to Law. And I think you know, like, the process was a lot. There was a lot of give and take. In this being a film involving real people and you know, typical documentary style, we were working around everyone's schedules. There were certain things that were like off the table as far as things to talk about, and we made sure to dance around those things in the film, but to still accentuate sort of a caricature-like version of them for the film, and also to let them know that in the process of making this, because like Law said, this is a hybrid. So at one part they're playing themselves, and then at one part they're playing a recreation of themselves, like a of the event, to best get the audience into their sort of like experience of what happened during this film.
To answer your original question a little more, like, I was very nervous asking every other family member to be a part of this story, because obviously it's a big story, and Jerry's whole thing was like, I need this story to be told. I want this story to be told. And then I was very nervous when we were going to go to Kathy, because she was like, I don't know, do I want to be a part of this? Blah, blah, blah. As soon as the camera started rolling, she was like, well, let me tell you about everything. And it just came like pouring out. And then she became kind of the narrative, like the narrator of this whole thing. Because she's got such an interesting perspective and voice, and we love her for it.
And this is also like, it was a bit of family therapy for all of us to just like, you know, once you have the camera in front of you, like you're a little bit different. You know, like, oh, I don't know who's going to be on the other end watching this in the end, but you kind of turn on or you turn off a little bit, and you know, Law had to direct them in that sort of way. But yeah, I think it was very much like a bit of therapy for us to just say, you know, don't worry, we'll edit around it, right? Like, just free association, psychotherapy, just say everything that's on your mind, everything that you're dealing with. And then
when we were like,
and then we deal with it later.
Developing some of the ideas through it, it was like, John, how did you not know that your dad was a secret agent, other than the fact he was a good secret agent? How did you not know? Whose fault is it?
Well, here's the thing, like many Asian dads or just dads, they keep that work private. Like that is, their mission is to support the family, you know, eat salt and just like just work hard, and you know what? That's like I think a lot of people would identify that with that. Like,
correct.
Like that's like
they're the perfect secret agent.
Right, they are agents. Like in their own mission, they are there to support the family or do whatever. And I'm like, you know, now thinking about it in my childhood, yeah, I don't really know like the other part of my dad. Like, you know, I would ask what are his dreams, his aspirations, stuff, but he was too tired. He was working hard to support the family. You know, like 3 kids, getting them through school and all that stuff. So,
well, it's a fascinating ride to take part in as a viewer. It's really stylistically done, and it definitely has its share of surprises. Again, the title of the film is starring Jerry as himself, screening at Slamdance. We've been talking with Jerry Hsu and Jonathan Hsu and the director, Lawrence Chen. It's been great having you guys on the show.
Thank you guys so much for having
so
us.
much.
We're so excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was perfect.
Great job.
Good job.
Easy.
Again?
Good.
One more time, one more round.
His biggest complaint was like, why do we have to do this so much? I've done it perfectly. Why do we have to do this so many times?
Oh, right.
Takes over and over and over again.
One take star.
Yeah, he was like, because he did theater way back in the day. So he was like, why are we doing multiple takes? I gave it to you perfectly.
No, yeah, we love you, Jerry. Thank
Yes.
you for sharing your story. I really
Let's go do a
love
photo.
you.
Yeah.